Rain lashed against the attic window. I pulled my sweater tighter around myself, but I could still feel the chill of this drafty old house seeping into my bones. It had been my grandmother's house, but now that she had passed away, it was mine. And honestly, it was a bit creepy. I shifted some boxes out of the way, revealing a large trunk in the corner. This was my grandma's trunk, filled with old family heirlooms and things from our past. I hadn't looked inside it yet, because there were so many memories in there that I just couldn't bear to see them yet. But today was different. Today, I needed something, or rather, someone. It all started yesterday when I was sorting through some of the other boxes. I found an old photo album tucked away behind a stack of blankets. It was almost completely filled with pictures of me and my friends as kids. As I flipped through it, a name kept popping up, Alexia. I turned to the first picture of her. We must have been 6 or 7. She and I stood proudly in front of our treehouse, grinning ear to ear. I barely remembered this treehouse. My dad built it for me after our dog Buster, busted through the tree we used to climb and brought it crashing down. My dad had made a promise, then he would build me a treehouse if I'd promise not to tell Mom. So even though I had nothing to do with the tree falling down, I still kept my end of the bargain. But as I looked at the faded photograph, I realized I barely remembered anything about Alexia. I knew her last name. She was a year younger than me, and that she lived across the street. But how we became such close friends, I couldn't remember a single detail, and that worried me. I should have remembered, shouldn't I? I mean, we were best friends, at least for a while. I searched through the rest of the album, hoping to find some answers, but they only made me more confused. There we were again, building a fort out of fallen branches. Here we were, jumping into a pile of leaves. There we were again, standing outside our school. Then here we were once more, except this time Alexia wasn't smiling, and I wasn't in the picture. She was standing outside the principal's office holding her dad's hand. Her dad, Mr. Baleris, was the town sheriff. Underneath the photo was scrawled, "The day Alexia got suspended." But what happened? Why was she suspended? And why did she stop being my friend? More questions formed. Was it something I said or did? Did she move away, or did something terrible happen to her? Suddenly, I wanted to know everything about what had happened to her, so I did what anyone would do in this situation. I took out my phone and began searching. I tried every variation of her name and every spelling, along with our town and the year she would have graduated high school. Nothing came up. I even checked the local cemetery website, but she wasn't listed on there. If she had died, then why had no one told me? As the rain continued to pour, I made my way back down the ladder into the kitchen for some hot chocolate, tea. That's when I saw it, something I hadn't noticed before. On top of the refrigerator was a shoebox wrapped in brown paper. I climbed up and retrieved it. Then I sat at the table, tore off the wrapping, and opened it. Inside was a thick stack of letters tied together with a faded red ribbon. The letters were addressed to me in childish handwriting. I reached for the top one and unfolded it. It was written from Alexia. On the date line was the day she went missing, February 23rd, 1998. At the bottom was my name, Jamie, and then below that, another name, Lexi. Could this be her real name? I wondered. I didn't remember her having a middle name. Was I supposed to? I hesitated for a moment longer. Then I began reading. Dear Jamie, I can't take it anymore. I'm sorry. I want to go away, and no one will ever find me. Please don't look for me. Goodbye. Love, Alexia. I read that sentence over and over again. So this is why she was suspended. She had run away from home. But why? And where did she go? I continued reading, hoping to find the answers in the rest of the letter. Jamie, I've packed some clothes, and I've put some money in case you want to come with me. It'll be an adventure. Come on, please. Love, Alexia. An adventure. I looked down at the second letter. It was dated 2 days later. Jamie, I'm sorry, but you didn't write back, so I'm leaving without you. I'm sorry, love, Lexi. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was supposed to remember these names. I didn't. I couldn't recall writing back. I racked my brain, trying to remember why I hadn't gone with her. Or maybe I never received her letter at all. But why would my parents have hidden that? And then I felt it. Something hard in the bottom of the box. I reached inside and pulled it out. It was a postcard. On the front was a picture of a yellow cab driving through a tunnel. On the back was a message. Wish you were here, New York City. Alexia. So this is where she went. The next question was, why? After I had calmed down a little, I put on my coat and headed out into the storm. I drove straight to the local library, went to the librarian, Mrs. Willoughby, and asked if she could look up the Belloras family for me. She returned with a file. Here's the marriage license of Sheriff Bellarez and his wife Helen, and here's their daughter's birth certificate. Oh, and here's a copy of the local newspaper from the day she ran away. I thanked Mrs. Willoughby and made my way back to my car. Back at the house, I spread the documents on the table and began reading. The newspaper article said that the police were concerned that Alexia may have been kidnapped. They described her as a runaway, which explained why her file had been sealed. Then I remembered what had happened to my letter. I ran away from home. I suddenly felt guilty. I had known her when she was a kid. I should have known more. I should have called the police. I should have done something, but I hadn't. Why? And why hadn't anyone told me she was missing? I looked at the birth certificate. Kea had been born in the spring. Kea, that meant she would have been 7 years old when she ran away. I was 8. Why did no one tell me she was missing? I thought about my parents. Were they hiding something? Did they know more than they were letting on? I read through the article again, searching for clues, and then I saw it. A picture of my parents. They were standing beside the Bellarez family in front of the sheriff's office the day Alexia disappeared. I stared at the photo. Why did my parents know the Bellarez family? Why were they at the sheriff's office the day Alexia went missing? I made my way back to the trunk and rummaged through the old clothing until I found the shoebox from yesterday. Inside was another shoebox. This one was much larger and heavier. What was in here? I slid the lid off and lifted out a large folder. It was full of photographs, newspaper clippings, and handwritten notes. As I poured through the files, I learned about a string of mysterious disappearances that had taken place in our town over the last few decades. I learned about strange symbols that had been found carved into trees near the sites of the disappearances. I learned about secret societies that supposedly preyed on young children. But the most important thing I learned was that each of these cases had been closed with no answers. Each of these people had simply vanished, and no one knew what had happened to them. Then I saw a familiar name, Jason Walker. Jason was the boy who had moved in across the street from us the summer before I started kindergarten. He had only been here for a few weeks when he vanished. I remember my dad coming home early from work to tell my mom and I that Jason was missing. I remember him telling me to stay inside because the police were looking for him. I remember peeking out the window and seeing all of the police cars. I remember my dad holding me close and promising that Jason would be home soon, but he never was. My heart pounded in my chest. Could it be possible that Alexia and Jason were connected? Could there be some kind of monster living in the woods near our town that had taken them both? I thought about the strange symbols carved into the trees. Could that be proof that I was dealing with something supernatural? Suddenly, I heard a noise in the attic. I spun around, thinking I had imagined it. Then I heard it again. Someone or something was definitely up here with me, and whatever it was getting closer. I backed away from the trunk, desperate to escape, but then I tripped over an old footstool and fell. Just then, the attic door burst open and I saw the most shocking sight. Standing in the doorway was a man who was old and frail and dressed in a long black coat, but it was his face that shocked me. was my dad. It was my dad as an old man. How could this be? I thought. He's dead. My dad died when I was 16. The old man stepped into the light and smiled. Jamie, he said, his voice raspy with age. We need to talk. Then he beckoned toward the trunk. What's in there, Dad? That's the reason I came to see you, he replied. You must destroy that. He walked closer. Why? What's wrong with it? 'Cause it's dangerous, he said. You don't understand how dangerous. I reached for the trunk, torn between my curiosity and my fear. Could what was in there really be that dangerous? Yeah. And what did my dad mean by destroy it? Was he talking about the photos? No, of course I couldn't destroy those. I owed it to Alexia to get to the bottom of what happened to her. But what if my dad was right? What if it was too dangerous for me to know? I looked at my dad, his skin like wrinkled tissue paper, his eyes wide and pleading. I looked back at the trunk, my heart pounding. Suddenly, I knew what I had to do. I raised the heavy lid and dove head first into the darkness.